Hello and welcome to 11th session of this Junior Programmer series. And in this session, we are going to continue from our previous session. And in the previous session, we had an idea of what we are going to accomplish with our personal project. And now in this session, I am going to walk you through some of the tools that we have so that you can turn your idea into reality. So in the previous session, I went through an example design document which I had prepared myself that highlights all the different aspects of my project. I have shared this document template to you so that you can now design or script your own game project. If you come into your YouTube video and if you scroll down in the description, you are provided with a Patreon link, and if you click on this link, you will be taken to the Junior Programmer Series Patreon page, and if you scroll down, I have provided you with project design .docx file. So you can click on this to download this document, and after you download it, just double click and open it in your Word file and you can enable editing. I have shared this document as a template using which now you can design or plan your game. Now this template has all of this different information that I can use to figure out what information I need to create my game, like the perspective of my player control, user input, the goal of the game, special effects and animation, additional gameplay mechanics. So this design document is very helpful as we structure our game throughout this process. In fact, one of the best ways that we can use this design document and especially the project concept section is by using this to actually break down the different mechanics of other games that we play. So whether it's a game you play on your phone or a game that you play on your console or computer, this can be a really great way that we can actually take a look at some other games that people have made, break down the way that they have created the game to get an idea of how we actually want to create our game ourselves. It's particularly useful that this document enables us to break out the different aspects of player control, the basic gameplay, the sound and effects, the actual mechanics of our game, the user interface, and any other additional features that we have added to the game afterwards. So the easiest way that we can use this document for right now is by taking a look at different examples. Now, I will show you a sample UFO game. For example, if you look at the player control, we have another top-down style game. Our player can move with the arrow key. We can actually charge a beam and activate it to pick up all these cows. It looks like in the game we have the cows that we are trying to pick up. We have these helicopters that we are trying to avoid, and the goal is to pick up as many cows as possible without getting hit by one of the helicopters. For the sound and effects, you can hear the cows moo when they are picked up. You can hear the blip sound happening. We have the helicopter, fire or projectile sound. There's a sound for when we click to pick up the cows. There's even some cool background music. And then as our game progresses, we are constantly trying to avoid all of these different helicopters that get passed together until we get hit by any of these helicopters. And then the game ends. Can we take a look at the UI? There's no health or anything, but there's definitely is a score. We get the game over text and we can restart our game. You can see that the game tells us our objective, and I believe when we use our beam, it actually tells us to recharge. So in this design document, we control a UFO in this top-down game where arrows and mouse click make the player move and interact with other objects in the game. During the game, cows and helicopters appear from the top of the screen, and the goal of the game is to pick up as many cows as possible to gain score while avoiding helicopters. There are sound effects when a cow is picked up, a beam is activated or a helicopter fires a projectile. There are particle effects when the UFO is hit and when the beam is activated. There is also background music. And then as the game progresses, more cows and helicopters spawn, making it difficult to collect more cows. For the UI, the score will increase whenever a cow is picked up or a helicopter is hit by a beam. At the start of the game, the title doesn't appear and the game ends when a helicopter hits the player. And for other, there's the ability to restart the game and a way to tell the player when the beam is recharging. So hopefully this little sample game gives you a good idea of what you are trying to accomplish. I would highly recommend taking a look at some of your favorite games, seeing some of the really basic mechanics and control of that game. See if you can break it down yourself. Take a look at other games. Go watch videos online reviewing other games and their play styles and mechanics and see what you can learn as you try to figure out your own project that you are trying to develop. So take a look at your blank design document, go review other games, and we will in our next part going to build this document on our own. So we have taken a look at some examples that we can use to fill out our design document. So what you are going to do is, in your project design document, make sure you fill out your name, fill it out with the basic concept. Hopefully, after doing those examples, you will have a really good idea of the different ways that you can fill in all these fields for the game that you want to make. And then go show it to a friend or a family member, whoever, and get some feedback. See if the idea that you have makes sense and see it's there room to improve. Now it's your turn. That we have listed all the different ideas to add into our project, from player control to basic gameplay as well as additional sound and effect and mechanic. Let's take a look at how we are going to get all those things done through our project timeline. So with our timeline, we just want to think about how long we want to spend building our project as well as the different things that we are going to do during these different days or weeks. So you can see here I have listed different dates that I plan to get some of these goals accomplished. So you can see here I have listed different dates that I can plan to get some of these goals accomplished, and some of them are pretty broad versus very specific depending on how much work I am able to accomplish that week. And I have stretched it all the way out through 7 weeks to think about how I am going to build this project to completion. In addition, if you find that you probably don't have enough time to build your project over this different week, I highly recommend adding different bonuses into the backlog. Some nice features to have that might not be necessary, but if you do end up having the time to complete them, they could be really nice things to add it into your game. So with that, now it's your turn. You are going to go in and fill your project line with the descriptions of the tasks that you are going to complete, as well as the due date for each of those tasks. Try to think through your project creation as much as possible over these next few weeks, and if there are additional features that you want to add in, make sure to add them into the backlog. So now it's your turn. Now we have outlined our ideas through our project concept. We have given ourselves a timeline of what we are trying to accomplish. Now we are going to put our ideas down on paper through a sketch. Now this sketch will help us really visualize and imagine what our MVP, our minimum viable product of our game will look like. This is just a way to help imagine all the different things that are happening. So for example, I have that background scrolling that I want to do. I have those animals that are running by like moose and deer. I have this health life up, power up that I can add in. I have rocks that come down as well. And then I have these foxes that spawn. Then I have the player that can move. Now these are designed to just be a very simple idea. We are not trying to get in very in-depth. We are just trying to visualize and understand what we are trying to build for a lot of our basic mechanics especially. A really helpful thing with the sketch is if you put it in front of another person to review and take a look at, and then you put your game in front of them, it should line up pretty nicely with what they expect is trying to happen in your game. So to help you understand what we are trying to accomplish, I will create my own simple sketch. Remember, it's not supposed to be very complex or complicated. Just supposed to show the basic ideas of what we are trying to do. So if I select one of these shapes, so I will use the circle and the circle will be my player. So we have the player and I want to be able to move the player in different directions. So these arrows just help us to understand that my player is going to be moving around. Let's see if I get a different shape. Okay, so I will use this rectangle. So one rectangle and we will actually fill this in with one color. So this could be something like our moose. I will make this bright red. If we make another rectangle, this one might be one of the other deer. I will add an orange color to it. And then I make another. In this case, I will make a rounded rectangle because it's not necessarily an animal, but this would be our rock. So now you know that all of this rectangle are all different enemies, and then we can even use arrows to help show that they are all going to be moving down. And then another thing that we can add, we will add another rectangle and we will make this one a bright yellow. In fact, we will add in a different arrow. This shows that this is actually something that we will chase after our player. And then I can use something like this cool looking arrow and I can rotate it around. So this will show that our screen is supposed to scroll. Maybe I will even add some text just to make it a bit more clear. So background scrolls. And then one other thing that I need to add is the heart icons, and we will move it in a different place so that the way we know. And so these are the hearts. Hearts restore player life. I will add some more text boxes, different enemy type, moose, deer, rock, boxes. And so this way it just kind of help to convey all the different things that I am trying to accomplish. Definitely clean yours up a little bit more than mine, but you can feel free to do this on a drawing program, or you can just use pen and paper or pencil and paper. You are just trying to get down the general idea of what you are trying to accomplish. Definitely make it detailed to the point where you can understand how the game works and the basic functionality and how it looks. But don't go too overboard with it. You don't have to draw, in my case, like a deer head or something like that, or a fox head or something. Just use the different shapes to outline all of the different objects that you could potentially use to understand what you are trying to create. With that, try making your own MVP sketch, so that way you can understand and visualize your game. Use different shapes to understand what things are enemies or obstacles, power-ups, your player. Use arrows so you can see all of the different movement that might be happening. Anything that you might need to understand the mechanics and behavior of your game, outline it in your sketch. So with this, now it's your turn to design a complete game document with the provided template and also with a neat sketch. Make this ready and share it with us for assessment.